right, checking. How are you today? Thank you for being on today. What an exciting time this is. I am Dr. B. If you haven't encountered any of the videos or anything, I'm just excited about figuring out, one, helping you guys figure out how to do leads. And second, just making sure that you have the ability to be better, do better, have better. Your life goes better in every single way possible. So this is kind of cool today. This is actually, what is today? Today's Thursday, and we do this podcast on every Friday. So every Friday we do, this web class where I'm helping you understand how, if you're not able to get leads, if leads are not showing up for you, that we find a way to make sure that that happens. And so just excited today about sharing a whole bunch of stuff with you. We're going to talk about the 5 reasons. I want to make sure that you might be struggling with leads. But more, to expand that even more, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, and you're thinking about a way to just expand your business, I think podcasting is a way to continue to do it. That was happening to me because one of the things that was prevalent in my life is just figuring out how do I create a bigger, better business in today's climate, in today's world, using today's technology, and realize that the things that I used to do back in the early 2000s, or the things I used to do in the 90s, even going back to the late 80s, are not even close to the same things that I'm doing right now. And so, like I said, today's Thursday. I'm recording this. If you're watching this, you are watching a recording. But we are live because I have Lex, and you'll see her in here, and Lex is going to answer any questions that you have in the chat today, and then I'll be back next week because I live in Denver, Colorado. We do this podcast Mountain Time noon every single Mountain Time every single year. We do, or every single year, every single week. We're doing it 12 o'clock Mountain Time, and tomorrow I'm actually driving right now down to Texas. I'm driving down to Dallas, about a 700-mile trip to do a seminar with Dr. Myron Golden and some of his friends. And so I will be in the midst of seminar time tomorrow while you guys are watching this. But I got the fortunate technology, right? I'm able to be here on the road, able to be in a car, free but still safety, as the car now drives me to Texas. And so for the next, probably 45, 50 minutes, we will be going over some stuff that I think will be pertinent to your life with some other opportunities that we're going to give. And so just so excited about just using the technology to be able to do it. And, we all great plans. This is our 3rd time that we've started this podcast. I have Lex on the other end, and she's going to run the slides for me because safety first, right? I want to make sure that I'm doing that. And so if you see me looking forward instead of right at the camera, you kind of, hopefully you realize that as a result, it's because I am driving and I'm looking at the road. And so while I'm driving, looking at the road, we want to make sure that you probably, I don't know if you can see my little bit of my steering wheel here, but just making sure that I'm doing safety and we're getting this done. So 5 reasons. When I think about what has happened, and if I think about my career in sales and my career, I went to college. I became a teacher, then a professor. I taught PE, then I taught computers, and I just wanted to make sure. Let's see. I think something came up on my screen. Lex, is that something? Are you still hearing me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. I'm
I
showing
don't.
the.
I got some kind of screen that says, lead route or something like that. So I'm not sure what that sign that came up. But Will, can you still see me? Or you went to?
Yeah.
You went to the. I see what you did. That is. Sorry about that, folks. That is the actual slide that Lex went to. All right. So when I think about the 5 ways to get leads, and you can actually go to the next slide. How funny that is. Because I'm not trying to look at my screen and see what's there. And so if you are the lead drag, go ahead and go to the next slide, which is the slide that is why, talking about me and why I did this. So going back to a professor, teacher, decided that I want to start my own business in the late 90s, early 2000s. Before that, I was doing some of the multi-level stuff. And so the multi-level stuff that I was doing was beginning the process. I think about, when I think about leads and I think about how we were able to accumulate them, now they talk about, okay, you can use the internet, and you can do funnels, and you can, buy these leads. Back then, it was all word of mouth. It was talking to people. There was, you could send out direct mail, use the post office, postcards. People would then call you. Cell phones, we didn't have smartphones because there wasn't even an internet, or the internet was brand new at the beginning of it. And so, Google click ads weren't even a possibility when we got started. But we would send out mailers, and companies would figure out ways of doing direct mail and then send it back to you. We had to learn how to communicate and talk with people. I can remember back in the Amway days where they would use this acronym that was called FORM: family, occupation, recreation, and the message. But people were out, right? I'd go to the gym, I'd go to the grocery store, I would go to, wherever I was at. I can remember I would what they call prospecting people, whether it was for sales or whether it was prospecting people at that time to be in business. We start out talking about learning how to talk about somebody's family, then their occupation, and then what are they excited about? What is the recreation? And then finally we get to the message, get their phone number, call them back, invite them to a meeting, have some kind of meeting that they would come to, and then that's when the sales pitch and that kind of stuff. I remember going to a Tom Hopkins seminar where he was like, he had sold like a house every day for a year. And I feel good, I feel great. With the, he'd have you say things, and he'd get you excited about being able to talk to people. Today, people don't want you talking to them, not unless you have a direct purpose or reason to talk to people. So that is kind of when you think of, the leads and being able to get them. Back then, sometimes I would pay for leads. I would, pay these companies, and then they would send me, and that worked really good until about 2008. For me anyways, because 2008 is when everything began to crumble. I was doing really well. Had my mortgage company, had my financial services company, was just killing it. And then one day in 2008, we got a message from our lenders that said, you can't do a loan anymore. That loan is no more, it's over, you can't do it. And as a result, when you think it's kind of scary, as a result of that leads and that the financial crisis, I decided I tried to hang on for about 6 months. It didn't work. It was just so hard to get anything done. And I'm not saying, I gave up. I just said I went on to something else. I moved back to Colorado. I was able to, go back to teaching. I was working in homeless services, and running some organizations there, and realizing, hey, this is fun and that's great, and I'm fulfilling a purpose, but I'm not making what I want to do. I'm not helping people change their lives. I'm not helping people become the person that they needed to be in order to do what they were put on this earth to do. And so I was looking, I was searching. I said, well, I know mortgages, what I used to do. Let me get back into it. And so I decided to go back into mortgages. And at that point, I went into doing, reverse mortgages. And then by doing the reverse mortgages, I was able to begin this process. And somebody told me, well, you got to buy these leads. And so there was a place that was called like AAA leads or something like that. And I spent like, okay, if that's what I got to do, I'll spend $1,000 and I will get some leads and buy them. And, I was promised by the AAA leads that I was going to get some of these amazing leads that would be able at that point, these amazing leads would be able to, everybody that I called would answer the phone, and they would be the people that were in the right market for me. They would be in my niche. They would want reverse mortgages. They were over 62. The problem is they weren't all that's wrapped up to be. And if you are a business owner, you've ever bought leads and you've not gotten what you thought you were going to get, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was just, it was so disheartening. It was so, I even put an ad out on the radio. I used to be in radio at one point, so it's, oh, let me use radio. I put an ad out on the radio. I got people that were interested in being the mortgage officers. They were going to show up, and then the company said, oh, we can't handle that many people coming in right now, so you can't do that. And people weren't responding to the it was just spending money after money after money to get these leads, and they weren't the right leads. And so what happened to me is I started looking, and I wanted some coaching because I evidently was too old and old school to figure out how to do this myself. And so as a result, what I did with my old school, figuring this out is I found a company called the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Phenomenal coaching program, has everything in place, has a system put together. I said, I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. This is going to be exciting. And they said, here's what you got to do. You got to buy this list of real estate agents. They said, because the best way to do mortgages is if you have a real estate company or you have people that are doing real estate or doing transactions, then they're going to be able to help you. If you get real good friends with them and you show them that you can do business and you can show them you do all this stuff, they will send you business. And so they said, hey, so you're gonna buy this list, you're gonna make these cold calls 2 hours a day. Every day you're gonna call 40 or 50 people. You're gonna make coffee appointments and you're gonna go sit down and you're gonna have coffee with them. And once you have coffee with them, you're gonna tell them how good you are. You're gonna tell them why you're doing what you're doing, and they're then going to, at that point, begin to send business your way. And I said, okay, this is great. I'm going to be a millionaire. This is going to work out good. Then what happened is I got that list and started making those calls. I did that for about 30 days. And I'm talking to my coach and he says, you got to go through the numbers. That's what they always tell us, right? You got to go through the numbers. You got to go through the numbers. You got to go through the numbers. So I'm going through the numbers, but because we're in this era where people don't answer the phone, I'm making 50 calls, 6 people answer the phone. And so when those 6 people answer the phone, 3 of them don't want to have a conversation with you, 2 of them are hanging up on you, and 1 might make that coffee appointment with you, but then when the time comes for your coffee, you drive across town, they either don't show up or they call you while you're driving and they say they're not going to show up. So after 2 months, I might have had like 6 coffee appointments with people that actually I could sit down with. And out of those, very few were going to send me business. And I think I'm a personable person and had the right plan and the right business that would allow me to do that. It just wasn't in the right timing. And so I was very frustrated. I was very, going, okay, so what am I going to do? I spent all this money. I'm spending a tremendous amount of money getting this coaching. They're having me. I went to Puerto Rico to have a seminar. I went to North Carolina to do a seminar. I went to Florida to do a seminar. And they're giving me all the right information, just not the right information in the timing that is going to help me be able to get leads. And so I decided at this point, because now I'm meeting with groups like NARAB and some other ones, and I decided at this point that I was going to start a podcast that was called the Black Wealth Experience. And in the Black Wealth Experience, isn't that cool how the car just turned itself and went down another road? Anyways, that was just a sidebar. The Black Wealth Experience, and I started doing this podcast because I figured if I got lenders and I got other real estate agents and I put them on this podcast and they might send me leads, and then I wanted to get this information out of all the wonderful things I was doing with reverse mortgage. But then it kind of dawned on me, what if I were to do a podcast and instead of trying to do a coffee appointment, because I don't want to drive all over town doing the coffee appointment and spend money at Starbucks, what if I just invited them to my house, told them to get a cup of coffee? I was even willing to send them like a Starbucks card, go get a cup of coffee, we'll do the same appointment, but let's do it online. So I began to start making those calls, and what I found out is that wasn't tremendous, it wasn't great, because I was still having these conversations about the same old school stuff. But then I began to start asking questions. I started beginning to find out a little bit more about them, and an aha moment came to me, and I said, what if I highlight them as a spotlight on my podcast, and then they can, kind of just tell me all about them. I can give that podcast to them as a local market. They can put it on their social media. They can give it to their friends. They can now become the expert in this world on what we're doing. And as a result, then that same thing that was going to happen with the coffee appointment is now going to happen for me. Now, what was amazing about this is when I started making the calls, instead of saying, will you be on a podcast with me? The question then became, will you now be on the podcast with me instead of being in a coffee appointment with me? And so now I call 50 people, the same 6 people answer, But when I leave a message and say, I'm looking for people to be on the podcast, what did I get out of that? I got people say, I would love to be on your podcast. I have one called the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight Podcast. And in the Real Estate Spotlight Podcast, I get to spotlight you as an agent. Now I'm calling 50 people. I'm getting 9 out of 10 people that I actually talk to, 8 out of 10 people in some cases are saying, I would love to do your podcast. So within 3 to 4 months, I already had done 50 podcasts. And instead of not having 6 appointments in 60 days, I had 50 podcast appointments where now people like me. Now I have a 12-week follow-up. I have all these things in this follow-up where people are at this point saying, oh man, I would love to send you. Now my business starts to take off because I've done this podcast. I have this relationship. I've made them the authority. I asked 3 or 4 questions and let them talk. I wasn't trying to ask 1 or 2 questions and then not let them talk. So now all of a sudden I'm going, whoa, this is something to do here. And now I begin to, as all those people were hanging up on me and all those people were, not wanting to have conversations with me, all of a sudden now I have relationships, and now I begin to think, okay, what else can I do? I like doing this podcast. I like the person I'm becoming. I like and I have a sheet. If you would love to have the sheet, that is 31 reasons a podcast can 10x your business, can mobilize your business in different ways. Go ahead and put yes in the chat, and we'll make sure we send that over to you. I also have like another 20 ways that you can monetize your podcast. Because I didn't realize, I thought a podcast was something that you would go on and you just talk about stuff that's irrelevant. What I realized is one of the best business tools in 2025 that you could possibly think about. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide here. So when I started realizing that, now I have a podcast that I added that was called Journey to Freedom. I have another podcast that I added that was called Living Boldly with Purpose. And now I've done over 250 episodes in all my podcasts, and realizing that there is so much more than just trying to create leads in a podcast. It is a way to metamorphosize. I don't know if that's the right word, but just change your business and make it relevant today. So I promised I was going to tell you the 5 reasons that you might be stuck and why the lead generation system you have is not working. Well, one of the things is you probably don't have a budget. And if you do, is the rate of return on the amount of money you're spending on advertising. So we have all these choices, right? Like Google ads. I can do Google click ads, right? Well, 2005 to 2015, Google click ads were a good idea. Now, I don't think though, not so much. You could do Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads, I've been using them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Not so good with what I'm trying to do. But yet, the people who are calling me are telling me how they're going to use Facebook ads to make sure that they bring people to my business. Now we have like this Google business sheet that Google's, telling me, hey, you have to have a Google business sheet, and then people are going to go, and then they give you reviews. And when they give you reviews, then that people are going to look at the reviews, and then they're going to bring you business. I got a Google business page. I wasn't getting reviews. I got reviews. I got lots of people that said, Brian, you are awesome. You are great. You're wonderful at what you do. I don't know whoever saw the page who looked at it. Then we start thinking about, hey, I'm buying these leads. Like I told you about AAA, AAA, lead generation. I had another one was called Golden State. They took my $1,000. Then once they took my $1,000, oh gosh, it was so bad because they never gave me a lead at all. One of the companies gave me leads of like 90-year-olds who just wanted to talk to me on the phone because they were lonely. And I'm paying for these. I'm paying tremendous amounts of money for these. I start trying to do these cold calls where, I'm getting stuff and it's just not working. Why is it not working? Because I'm trying to get people and convince people to buy what I have to sell instead of finding people that want what I already have, and then I just connect with them. And that's what the podcast was allowing me to do, is connect to people that wanted what I had, that wanted to make sure that whatever it is that I had that I was trying to sell, in this case it was mortgages, in this case it was coaching on, leadership, whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Now I'm doing, podcast coaching and teaching people, but I don't want to do podcasting coaches for somebody who wants to do direct mail. So why would the lead person send me something that is a person who is doing direct mail? They wouldn't, right? They don't want to. It's just silly to think that that's something that they would do. And so now through podcasting and having a niche, oh my gosh, there's so many things that you can do for it. So the amount of money that I'm spending now compared to the amount of money I was spending on leads that weren't working is just minuscule to what's available. So then the other thing is that why you might be stuck is because you hate the process, because you hate talking, you hate trying to convince people. And as a result of it, every time that you get on that phone, it gets heavy. Now, I remember back in the day when I was, starting in sales or trying to get people on the phone or making cold calls. I hated cold calls, and I hate them still today. But if I was talking to somebody and I didn't know what I was talking, I put a pot on the counter. I would, as always audio, there's no video. I'd knock down the pot. It would make a whole lot of noise. I would tell them I have to go, and then I'd call them back later, and then I could compose myself and get it straight. Today, if we're doing a Zoom, like if we're doing this podcast and we're doing the video here, you might look at me and go, oh my gosh, oh my word, what is he doing? Why is he knocking a pot on the floor? What is wrong with this man? Because that's a tactic that was old that doesn't work today. It doesn't work today. And so when you think about it, if I hate doing this, how long are you going to do it for? You're not going to do it for very long. You say, well, you got to go through the numbers. Okay, I'll go through the numbers. For how long are you going to? Well, you need to do it as long as it takes. Well, as long as it takes is just making me mad every day. And then I hate what I do, and I hate getting up, and then I hate my kids, and I hate my wife, and all that stuff just happens because I'm not able to do the things that I love doing. And so when you get to do a podcast, you get to have your niche. Now you get to talk about the things you love doing. You think about YouTube. YouTube, about 80 to 95% of all the videos on YouTube. My father-in-law watches videos on, he does carpentry and wood stuff. And so he will watch hours and hours of somebody cutting against the grain, with the grain, routing it, all that kind of stuff, and learn his craft better. I have a brother-in-law who will do, he loves like farming type stuff, and will watch people sit on a tractor and go back and forth and disc a field and how they're doing it because they're in that special niche. What if you have a podcast that you're talking about what you love to do with other people that'll talk about it? Then if that's your niche and you're making money in that niche, then you find other ways to monetize the thing that you're doing. And sometimes we think, hey, I got to monetize. The only way I can do it is how many audience. And I'll talk about that here in a second. So we got to get away from hating to do the thing that you're doing, that you get up every morning and do. And making cold calls off a cold list that isn't even the right market is absolutely 100% what you, my friend, do not want to do. Next that we kind of talk about is just the fear of rejection. No. Anybody ever heard no? And I don't know if it's just fear of rejection or just not wanting rejection. No, I don't want to talk to you. No, I don't want to look at you. No, I don't want you to call me. No, I'm tired of people calling me. I don't want to say, and they keep saying, no, hey, my hand is right now. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to anyone. And then so you start thinking about, how crazy it is that we spend so much time getting rejected. And rejection is part of it. Failure is part of the sales. But why, if you don't have to, why would you want to? One of my favorite stories is, of how much salespeople can be annoying, and why people don't like salespeople. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they moved to Colorado not too long ago, and they bought a new build, a house that was new. And so all the salespeople that are going door to door, and I don't know if you remember the door to door, but door-to-door is super not effective now. You think it wasn't effective back in the 80s, 90s, and door-to-door is so not effective, and yet people do it all the time. And so, I still have people come try. We had a storm a year ago, and I still have people come to the door, ask if they can fix my roof or fix my car from a hailstorm that happened a year ago, knocking on my door. So anyways, he has this new build, and all of a sudden he says this weekend, especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, everybody shows up. The solar man shows up to put solar panels on. The security guy tries to put security on. The lawn care guy comes to put lawn care. The critter person comes to get rid of all the things. The insurance person comes. Everybody's coming to his house. And so he said every time he sat down, he would stand back up, And when he stood back up, every time he'd sit down, he'd go, okay, somebody's at my door again, somebody's at the door again. Now his wife ordered something from DoorDash, and DoorDash will, bring you a meal that you order from whatever restaurant you want to. And so I don't know where they ordered it from, but the DoorDash person came to the door. He goes to the door, opens the door, and barks at the DoorDash guy. What are you doing here? I don't want anything. I'm tired and sick and tired of the salespeople coming to me and talking to me, right? And the poor DoorDash guy just goes, I'm just here to deliver your food. And we think irritated we are, like how many phone calls you get a day. I get 50 to 100 calls every single day of somebody trying to sell me something, of something I don't want, don't need, and we think that is, and then I get this sour thought about what sales are based on that. And sales don't have to be that way. Sales is more persuading somebody that they want what you have because they already wanted it in the first place, and you're just showing them why what they already thought about they wanted, and that makes it so easy. So if you're on it because you think you want to do a podcast, then it's easy for me to tell you about a podcast. Or I want to get better leads that work better, then it's easy to explain to you how we get better leads. I don't have to, if you're a person who is a school teacher that doesn't sell anything, that just goes to school, why would you be on this podcast learning about leads? And yet there are people who will send them things and tell them that's what they need to do. So we got to get away from that, that whole thought process of I don't fear rejection because it's something I got to do. I fear rejection because I have to know they irritate me and trying to convince people. So that's why you're probably stuck, because you're stuck doing something you really truly don't want to do. The next one is, what did I have in here is
pre-internet.
Yeah. So all the things that you got to do on the internet, you think that the technology that you have to do is the reason you're not getting. You think of the things that I got to learn how to do Facebook. I learned how to do TikTok. I know how to do Twitter. I have to be able to talk to people. I have to be able to do ads. I have to be able to, and all of a sudden you're going, I don't know how to do all this stuff, nor do I want to be on my computer all day, nor do I want to be doing this. And we think of all the things we have to do that we're scared of because the technology is stopping us from being able to do it. And so that's one thing that, why you might be stuck is you're just scared that I don't know how to live in this world. I don't know anything about a Google. I want to spend a bunch of money, again, that's what that like I told you, I'm driving in the middle of nowhere, and I think we got cut off. But I was just talking about, some of the internet tech is and not having to know all the software and being able to, the technology. The technology can be as simple as using a phone, record a podcast, have a guest on. There's free software to be able to do it. It should not cost you very much money. It should not, you think of the amount of time that you spend on leads. Like I was when I go back to my story and I was doing 2 hours a day of calling 50 people, doing a podcast at that level to have that many people should be no more than 5 to 10 hours. I would every couple of weeks. And you're doing your podcast and you're putting it out there, and now you have people to follow up and call. That should be, and the response is so much better at this point than it is doing it the way that a lot of folks have been doing it. And so that's a reason that you probably feel stuck, is just because you're kind of scared of, do I do click ads? Do I do Facebook ads? My Facebook is cut off. I didn't even have the account and they cut it off. And I can't get back because there's nobody to talk to at Facebook to tell you it wasn't me. I don't know why I'm cut off, and I can't even do Facebook ads. And trying to navigate that, the technology can be so difficult in the traditional way of leads. Whereas by doing a podcast, super simple. So then we start talking about the last thing is just lack of knowledge. And one of the things that I think people don't do well in leads is they just don't know enough. Either it's their subject matter that they don't know, what to do, or it's, whether it's just the subject matter, or maybe it is that, somebody asks you a question, you don't know what to do. Remember me throwing the pot down? Well, you don't know what to do. Maybe it is you just don't know, hey, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is. We talked about the technology. Maybe it is I don't know enough about my product. That I'm selling, let's say, sprinkler systems, and I don't know a lot about it. And so, and then who am I going to go talk to? I don't have a knowledge of where to get to people and where to tie. And the lead people are sending me crap, and what am I supposed to do with the crap they're sending me? And so that's one thing, is you just feel like you're not enough. You feel like that you haven't figured out how to make it work and how to make that portion of it, sing for you. Whereas a podcast, when you design it, you become an expert, or you are an expert in something you love to do. And now the knowledge part becomes so incredibly easy when you start doing it. Let's go to the next slide, Lex, which is the slide that is the 3 core secrets. Now, I have 31 reasons that a podcast is right for you. I'm going to talk about 3 right now, and then kind of hone in on that. One of them is, you think about, you have to have a huge audience. All right, here's the tip, here's the secret. I know people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and have less than 500 followers. I know people who are making over 6 figures, over $100,000 a year, and have less than 1,000 followers. You don't need a big audience if you know what you're talking about and it's in your niche and people want what you have. That is not, especially when I did the Mile High Spotlight podcast. And my big goal there in the Mile High Spotlight podcast was, I just want to make friends with the real estate agent. I don't care if I have anybody who's subscribing to it. Neither do they, because they're going to give it to the community. And so what do they care if somebody is out of the country or in Africa or Europe or in the Philippines or in Asia or whatever watching the podcast? That's not going to help them make any money. They care about their local audience, the person at the coffee shop, that kind of stuff, and telling them that they're available and having something for them to watch when they go meet somebody. That's what they need. And so this whole myth about, now, can you make money with YouTube, and can you have 500,000 people and all that kind of stuff to be able to do it? Of course you can. Of course that's available. Of course that's something that you can get done. But the reality of it is you don't need a big audience. And so that's secret number 1 to kind of start thinking about. Secret number 2 is the technology. Back to, I talked about why you're frustrated with technology. And then I talked about some of the simplicity of just having a camera with maybe a microphone. You can attach a microphone. Like for $50 you can put a microphone on, like I'm doing this, because you can put it right here and talk to it for 2 of them, and it comes straight out of your phone. Your phone's going to do it pretty much. I do a podcast. I do a post every single day of me walking outside, and I hold my phone up like this. That's what I do. I hold my phone up and I talk to it, and it works wonderful. So that's kind of cool to be able to do that. Then, so the technology, the software, like I'm using right now, we're doing this on StreamYard or Zoom or Riverside. There's so many good ones that are out there that walk you through the process that are not tough to, well, I don't know how to edit. You know what? You don't have to know how to edit. I got an answer for editing too. One is you can get a virtual assistant for pretty inexpensive to help you edit, or there's some pretty cool softwares that will do. Like the software that I'm using right now is going to give me 10 AI clips that I can put out on social media based on the conversation I'm having with you today. I don't have to do nothing. It automatically does it for me. So technical, you don't have to be technical. You could know absolutely nothing about computers and do a podcast and do it well. The other one is you can monetize from day one. There's a place out there that I use a lot that's called Podmatch. What's so unique about Podmatch is if you get a subscription to Podmatch and you do it every time you decide, I want to be a guest on people's podcasts and I also want to host a podcast. If you host a podcast, you will find people that you don't know, have never seen, know anything about, that would like to be on your podcast. And Podmatch is going to pay you to do that in your niche. So I go back to my father-in-law. If he was willing to do a podcast, and I tell him he should, about wood, every time he talks about what he knows about wood and the credibleness that he has about it, he would get paid for talking to people about what he loves to do. And whatever your business is, I hope you're loving to do your business. Let's do that. Let's figure out a way to make sure that you're doing it. So those are the three kind of clear secrets. Is you don't need an audience. Technology is not difficult, and you can monetize it. Within 90 days, I want to help you be able to monetize if that's something that you want to do to make money. Now, monetization, like I said, I have a thing with 21s. If you want that, put yes in the chat. You can say yes, monetize, and we'll send you that list of 21 ways that you can monetize your podcast and get started within the next 5 days, because that would be the goal. That's what we would love for you to be able to do. All right, so where you're at now. So there's a couple things. You are either a type 1 person, you've never done a podcast in your life. You don't want to do it. You thought, why would I do that? I was talking on a coaching call today, and the guy said, I'm not your podcasting type, but I just heard you talking, and there's things I do love to do, and I do love to talk about the things that I love to do. And if I got other people to talk to me about those same things, that would probably be pretty fun. Absolutely. Whatever you're doing, turn on the microphone, have somebody else as a guest, do it solo, talk about what you love. That's your podcast. That's your niche. And so that makes it a little bit easier to do. So you've never done a podcast, I can tell you it can be done in the next 5 to 10 days. You can have a podcast up and running with guests who want to be on your show. I'll say it again, with guests who want to be on your show. Type 2 is you're tired but unsure, or you tried one. I'm sorry. You tried a podcast, but you are on, see how I'm trying to read this off a little piece of paper or computer screen that I want to keep my eyes on the road, so I want to continue to do that. And so, so you tried to do one, now you didn't get to that 10 episode threshold. And I want to ask you a question here, because that seems to be in the podcasting world, what seems to be the big thing that people miss out on is they get to 10 podcasts and they quit because they think it's not working. And the question that I want to ask you is, what have you ever done in your life 10 times and were good at it? Was it playing tennis? Was it playing baseball? Was it playing basketball? Was it playing an instrument? Was it cooking? Was it sewing? Was it doing anything that you're good at? Was it even putting on your clothes? Can you be good at putting on your clothes in 10 tries? And yet you want to do a podcast, or you've done a podcast and you did 9 podcasts and you said it doesn't work. I didn't have a big audience. I didn't get it monetized. People aren't watching it. Well, you don't want people watching probably for the first 20 because you're not good at it. I would say you probably suck at it unless you've done other things. Like for me, I did radio before. Way different. I spent so much time on bumpers and, getting ads and finding out what the audience was and who was in the, the sphere of the city that I was in. And I was good at talking, but podcast is way different because I had to talk about a variety of things that everybody who might be on the radio listening would love. You know what's so cool about podcasting? You really only talk about the things you love because the people who watch your podcast are people who care about what you care about. And so there's, I don't know how many, 8 billion people in the world, and 8 billion people that there's going to be at least a couple thousand that like to do what you do and want to talk with you about what it is you do and watch what it is that you do and all kind of those wonderful things that can happen. That's not a radio trying to meet the needs of all the audience, anybody who might tune in. You're meeting the niche of the people that you really want to have. And so that's what's really cool. Or the other, so now you've tried it, let's do it again. There's somebody who did that. Or you're a type 3 person, your experience right? You've done it, faster, and you just want a faster flow. You're saying, you know what? I never thought about doing a podcast. Didn't even dawn on me to do a podcast to get leads. I thought I just had to do a podcast and talk about my hobby. I love horses and I want to talk about horses, but that's not helping my business that's a laundromat or my business that is, selling phones or, gadgets or something like that. My wife has an embroidery business, right? And so she could talk about embroidery all day long. You know what? There's so many people that would love to talk about embroidery with her that have that all day long. I mean, she made one video about a keychain. This is how crazy it is, because I try to get my wife to do videos all the time because I think she should have a podcast. And she just kind of shines it on. She's like, you go do the podcast, you go make the money at it, I'll just sew and do my embroidery business. She did one, she made a keychain, put it out there, keychain made simple. She had over like 20,000 people watch it in the first 6 weeks. And I'm like, and you don't want to do another one? Oh no, I just like what I'm doing. I like my little niche. And I'm like, oh my gosh. To me, I'm like, I need to just shut up. She didn't even want to be on screen. Sometimes that's an issue for people is, being on screen and what they don't like the way they look. In those videos, I introduced the video for her. I filmed the video for her, and the only thing we showed during her making that was her hands. And she talked the whole time, showed her hands, showed how to make the keychain, and voila, unbelievable. That's what the people wanted to see, and all these videos showed up on her list that quickly. Unreal that's what happened to her. And so that's kind of cool that we did that. We did that through that process. And so, like I said, so if you're an expert too and you just want to move forward, let's do that. Let's hone in on your certain skills that you're able to do. Let's go to the next slide. I just want to kind of tell you about a couple people that have been successful and maybe monetizing a podcast different than you said, because I think we still think, I got to have this audience. And so the first person I'll talk about is Martiana. Martiana, I know her very well. I know how she thinks because she happens to be my daughter. And she wanted to get into the mortgage business. She's a huge entrepreneur, wants to make things happen in just this huge way. So she started with me, and she got to see. I took her to Mortgage Marketing Animals, right? That was going to work for us, making these calls. Well, she had the same results that I had, and it wasn't working. And so what we did is I helped her to start a podcast, and she was called, she lives in California, the Golden State Spotlight Podcast, something like that. What became so amazing about this and about the situation is she also has a staging business. So she stages houses for real estate agents. Well, she did the Real Estate Spotlight podcast, right? So the Real Estate Spotlight podcast, or the Golden State, or whatever it's called, she interviewed real estate agents so she could do mortgages. What she found out is some of those companies needed somebody to stage houses. They got to see what she does. She made friends with them. She told them she's a stager. Now she has 4 of those companies that she did a podcast with. I asked her, Martiana, how much money did you make from YouTube doing your podcast? Nothing. How much money did you make from Podmatch from doing your podcast? Nothing. How much money are you making on your staging business from podcasts? She says, I got clients every single week that are doing staging with me because I did the podcast. I'll say it one more time. She has people that are staging with her every single week because she did the podcast. Does she need money from YouTube? Maybe eventually she'll have some, and she'll do enough shows that people will watch it and kind of talk about, I told her you should move into talking to people about, okay, this is how we stage a home. This is why we stage at home. This is how we do interior design. What a great show that would be. And maybe she'll get to that. But it's hard for her to get to that right now because she's so busy staging houses and doing mortgages. It is just so incredible to do that. I have a friend named Travis. That same thing. He was in the business and trying to get people to do stuff, and he said, "This cold calling stuff, I hate it. I'm going to get out of sales. I'm going to go back." He was a PE teacher before, just like I was. We hit it off, and he said, "I'm going to go back to teaching PE." I said, "Why don't you try this? Let's do this podcast thing. Let's see what it looks like. Let's make sure that it happens for you." So he does the podcast, loves it. Now, he does so many internet stuff that seems so interesting, that gets so many likes. He has puppets that have his voice and talk on the internet about real estate or about whatever his niche is that he's doing. I'm like, oh my God, you're loving this. You're doing a great job at making it happen and doing it. And so just to see him take the podcasting idea and just make it something incredible. And then I think about, Kim. Kim thought the same thing, just scared of the way that she looked, scared of the way that didn't want to be on podcasts, was worried about what people thought about her, but still know that she wasn't making money doing what she needed to do. And so she got over the fear. I said, people don't care about what you look like. They care more about what they look like. And they're thinking about what you're thinking about them, not what you're thinking they're thinking about them. It just goes down this rabbit hole. And so I said, make the screen smaller, put a YouTube, I'm not a PowerPoint up. You can make yourself super small, put a hat on, whatever, put a scarf on, do something, do one of those things where you have those guys that cover their face, or you can't understand their voice, but just get started doing something. Boom, starts getting guests. Now she's, because she's talking about something she loves, she stopped caring about what she looked like. Stop caring about what she looked like. And so, when we think about, all these possibilities and your ability to monetize and your ability to find ways to become a better person, I want to offer you, because we're kind of, winding down on this, the 5-day challenge that I'm having. I just got done one. I'm doing it once a month. I just got done doing one the week before. Yeah, week before last. No, it was last week. So 5 days where we get to go in and we share with you exactly what you need to do to get this thing started, what you need to do to make some money at this, what you need to do to revolutionize, monetize your world in business and be good at it. Day one, I'm going to, just talk about the big shift. I'm going to talk about all these reasons. I'm going to go through all 30 of them and show you why a podcast is going to change your business, 10x your business for life. I'm going to talk about that. Day two, I'm going to talk about, the plug-in. Who do you need to do? Who are the people that are around you? How do you get guests? That kind of stuff. Like, why would I even want to do this? The podcasting world, what it's like, why so many people fail, why so many people succeed. We're going to find out exactly, start talking about you and how we're going to do that better with you, doing that part of the challenge. And then day three seems to be the favorite of people. We're going to talk about the equipment. I'm going to go everywhere from the XL cameras that you can $500-$600 for, or the camera that you can spend $50 with, or your phone, or we're going to talk about a teleprompter. What do you need one? Do you not need one? We're going to talk about, lighting. I have this thing called AVs, where it's like, first thing we're going to talk about is audio, which is the most important portion of it. Then we'll talk about lighting. Then we'll talk about video. Then we're going to talk about your setting your environment. We're going to talk about equipment that you need. And then finally, we're going to talk about the software you need to use. So I'm going to show you step by step how to utilize that software, how to utilize the equipment that you're using, why you should buy this camera compared to, like, if you buy this camera, then you wear a gray shirt, then your gray shirt is not going to look good because it doesn't do color very well. So we'll get that detailed in some of it, and then some of it will say, like, hey, your lighting, especially like, so I'm African American. I'm light-skinned African American, but some of my friends are a little bit darker, and so the lighting has to be a little bit different, and the stuff you put behind you has to be a little bit different because they can't see you. All they see is like a little black dot, or some of my folks that are white that have fair skin, and then all you see is like oil and that kind of. So let's fix that with lighting to be able to do that. So that's kind of really fun on day three. Then on day 4, we're going to start building your blueprint. We're going to find out what your niche is, what you like to do, how we're going to take this broad idea that you have of trying to reach the world and say, no, let's just talk to the people who want to talk to you. So we're going to go through that with you. And when we did last week, so many people had so many fun and so many ideas of what the possibilities were. And I said, wait a minute. There's a gentleman that we talked about that has a home-based business for home health care. And he's been doing it for several years, and he's an expert at it. And he's like, well, I want to talk to people, about their lives and how they can do better and they can become millionaires and do the things that I did. I said, why don't you use the niche of your home-based business, your home-based healthcare business, and let's make that how you help people, whether you're helping them scale or helping them get started. oh my gosh, we started rattling off, and he just went to this really cool place. And then the last part of it is, the last day we're going to just talk about, hey, how are we going to monetize this thing? I need you making money quick. I need you making money in the first 30 to 60, 90 days at the most, so that it's something you'll continue to go do. One, you'll do it because you like doing it, something you love to talk about. Two, you'll do it because, hey, I can make some money at this. And this could be something, a side business or a side hustle, or this can enhance my business. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you are in the right place, my friend. And so this podcast challenge is going to be, I think it's May, or no, we're in June now. Oh my gosh. So it's coming up in a couple weeks. Lex, if you can put into the chat the dates of it's like June 13th through, not June 13th through 20th, the 21st through whatever that Monday is in June, that we're going to do it. And just look on the screen right now, you'll see the dates that it's happening. We are going to go through this with you. Now, there's two levels of ways that you can get involved. So there is the general level, so you'll be on Zoom, you'll be able to see everything, you'll get all the materials and the details, and we'll have a Facebook group, and we got homework every night. That's going to cost you $67 to do that portion of it. And there's, valued at, I've seen other coaches, the things that we're doing over 5 days, an hour a day for 5 days, the things that we're doing during that time, I've seen, people charge $500, $1,000, $2,000 just for the information that you're going to get on that day. So you will walk out of there at day 5. If you show up every day, it is going to be recorded. So if you can't make it that day, we do it at 9:30 in the morning. I guess, 9:30. Yeah, 9:45 is when we started in the morning, Mountain Time. And then I guess I could have that wrong too. So it's somewhere in the morning, and then we do session 1, like 9:30 to 10:30, and then we come back at 10:45 and go to 11:45. That's what it is. 10:45 to 11:45. That is a VIP session. Now, if you're going to get the most out of this, the general session, you're going to get stuff. You're going to kind of be on your own. You're going to be able to take it. If you're a self-starter, able to do classes, I, my friend, am not, and will never be a person who can just take information and go do it without having some kind of coaching, without having some kind of mentorship, without having somebody helping me through the process. I don't like to read and do directions, and that's why I struggle in this day and age, because you can't talk to anybody on the phone, right? You can't ask questions. You can't. All they want to do is just send you a whole bunch of documents and say, okay, good luck, read it and go. And maybe you're young and that's how you've learned, and that's how you've been able to do it. I want somebody walking me through. I want somebody to ask questions to. I want somebody who's going to spend that time with me. And my friend, that is what the VIP session is. I see some of you shaking your heads, even though I don't see you right now for real. But yes, I need that coach. And so that VIP session is just for you. Now that one's $299 or $297. I'm sorry, it's $297. And that one is going to give you an extra hour every single day. So we'll go from 9:30 to 10:30 with the general group. Then at 10:45 to 11:45, and we might even have to go beyond sometimes, I'm going to answer your individual questions. Now, here's what I found out is that people love to ask questions, but sometimes they think that the question is stupid. I learned that as a teacher, I learned that as a professor, and I never get the question answered. And that's why I want to do it as a group. Because when we do it as a group and you ask a question, chances are somebody else has the exact same question as you. Or somebody else asks the question that you already had. We answer it as a group. Now, here's what I also found out. If somebody starts a question, then you feel more comfortable adding on to it. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, how does that expand? Well, I know you told me that camera doesn't do really good color. Well, why not? You told me that he should use that camera. Well, I have this one. So how should I use that one? So we start really, bouncing off each other. And so for that $249, you are going to get individual coaching. I'm gonna actually watch one of your podcasts once we get it done, and then critique it and go through it. And so those are all these things, and Lex has it on the screen that shows all the things that come with that $297 VIP session. It's something that you don't want to miss out on. Hey, either way, I'm good if you do the session that's the general session. I'm good if you do the VIP session. What I'm not good with is this is something you would like to do and you don't get started. And so what I need you to go is thepodcastchallenge.com, thepodcastchallenge.com. Lex has already put all the links and everything up there for you to be able to do it. The podcast, the podcastchallenge.com. go ahead and sign up. I got a video on there that kind of even explains it a little bit more. As soon as you go on there, sign up. Don't miss out on this opportunity. I'm glad that you guys came today. Invite other people to this one, Podcasting for Leads. It's also, we have that goes to sign up for this web class that you just got on today. The
The
Podcast Academy.
podcaster,
Yeah, the Podcaster
podcaster
Academy.
academy.
PodcasterAcademy.com is the other way to be able to get onto this webinar if you want to send people to it. If you say, hey, somebody's been talking to me a lot about wanting to start a podcast and doesn't know how to get started, send them to this. Have them come to this webinar and see exactly what it is that we're doing, see exactly how we're making this happen. Because here's what I know. If you don't take advantage of the things that you possibly could do, then you regret it your whole life. You know, when we think about Be, Do, Have, and I just finished a book that's in publishing right now called Be, Do, Have, and become the person you need to be in order to do what God put you on this earth to do. But sometimes we do all this doing and we try to have before we're ready to be. And so what this allows you to do is become that person that can put together a world-class podcast. And I'm not talking about by next year. I'm talking about in the next 90 days, you have a podcast that you've done 5, 10, 15 episodes, and people are watching it and people are enjoying. Listen to you talk about what you love. So again, thank you for your time today. I'm not, as I'm driving down the road and trying to make this happen the way that we're doing it, I've enjoyed you. I can't wait to do it next week. If you got a lot out of this week and you want to come back again next week, please do. I can't wait to spend time with you. I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to help you become that person that you want to be. I also can't wait to help you figure out this lead thing, because if you're frustrated with leads, let me show you. Come to the podcasting challenge. Oh, the podcastingchallenge.com. Come there. I am going to blow your mind like that of what you can do with acquiring leads in this day and age in 2025 as we're doing this. All right, we'll see you next week. I'll see you. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Lex will be able to answer it. You guys have been amazing, phenomenal. I can't wait to interact with you. Any questions you have, go ahead and make sure you got them done. So we'll talk to you soon. Have an amazing, awesome, just incredible day. Don't forget your God's greatest gift, and He loves you if you allow Him to. Talk to you on the next one. How many